Welcome to Cuisine Galaxy. I'm Miss Haber and today we're going to make Pico de Gallo. I'm really excited to show you my favorite Pico de Gallo recipe. It's one of those dishes that tastes like it should be a snack because it's so flavorful and good, but it's healthy enough that it could actually replace a meal, and sometimes in our family it does. Pico de Gallo is a kind of salsa that's typically served with Mexican cuisine, including tacos, quesadillas, and tortilla chips. It's considered a Mexican favorite, and it's easy to see why. It's so fresh, flavorful, nutritious, and vibrant. What distinguishes Pico de Gallo from typical salsa that you may know is that salsa is often blended, while Pico de Gallo is cut to a small dice or even roughly chopped. And similar to salsa, it still uses tomato as its primary ingredient. Pico de Gallo is Spanish for beak of the rooster. So let's begin. Anytime I'm using a knife, I like to start by steeling my blade. We're gonna start by adding 3 tomatoes to our Pico de Gallo. Tomatoes like to roll around a lot, so I'm gonna cut the top off. And now my tomato can't move. I'm gonna cut lengthwise, thin. And then I'm going to put my tomatoes into small piles. And I'm going to again cut one way, and then I'm going to release. And so the release is going to turn it into little cubes. And this is fine enough to be considered a dice. So again, I'm going to make sure it's flat. I'm going to cut one way, and then the other way. I now have this top piece, so I'm going to cut around it so that just that nub is going to be garbage. The rest is still edible and can still be used. So I'm going to throw out my nub into my scrap bin, and this will be for my final product. I'm going to bring my bowl close. I'm going to put my tomatoes in there, and I'm going to repeat the same thing with the remaining 2 tomatoes. I'm going to cut lengthwise. I'm going to put them into 2 small piles. I'm going to cut lengthwise again, and then I'm going to release. Okay, so I now have my tomatoes chopped up. I have my cutting board about 1 inch away. We're looking for about half of a red onion. So red onion has a milder flavor, which is why it's an ideal choice for a raw, fresh product such as Pico de Gallo. An onion has 2 ends. This part comes out of the ground. This part is in the root. On each half, we're going to want to have some of the root and some of the stalk. I'm going to now cut the top part. So I'm leaving the root intact. And this is going to allow me to easily peel off a layer or 2 until I get to the part that can be fully used. Anytime you're cooking, if you notice that there's still a scratch or a cut at any of your stuff, potatoes, whatever produce you're working with, you chop it off. I'm going to start by just giving a few cuts across. The root's going to help me keep everything together. I'm now going to release my onion. I'm going to keep my fingers bent so I won't cut them, and I'm going to release. At some point, it's going to get precariously close to your fingers, so what you can do at this stage is cut around your root. You can go pretty close so you have minimal waste, and then that nub goes in the scrap. This part, again, bring your bowl close to you, throw it into your Pico de Gallo. Here is my tomato along with my onion, ready for the next ingredient. The next thing I'm going to be cutting is 1 jalapeno. Anytime I'm using a hot pepper, I always take a little piece and just taste it to see how hot it actually is. cut off the top and put it in the scrap bin. Bisect your jalapeno. You can leave the seeds in for a spicier pico de gallo. If you want to remove them, you simply take a spoon and scrape from the bottom to the top. I'm going to cut it thin lengthwise. And then I'm going to release. Put it into my destination bowl. Now my second half. It's looking good. There's my pico de gallo so far. The next thing I need is the juice of 1 lime. This is gonna give it a really nice flavor. When I bought my limes, I felt it to make sure that it felt like it had juice in it. Sometimes they seem really dry and small. So to get even more juice, take it on a flat surface and roll it back and forth. So I'm just gonna be releasing the lime. I'm now going to cut my lime in half. So I'm just putting it in and twisting it and trying to get out as much juice as possible. The next thing we're going to use is our fresh cilantro. Cilantro is one of those ingredients, you either love it or you hate it, but I happen to love it. We need half a cup, so this is probably going to be a little bit more than that. So I'm going to set some aside for later. Pull the leaves in the opposite direction of the stem. I'm just going through anything that's yellow or anything that doesn't look presentable that you wouldn't want to eat. You need to discard that into your scrap bin. Having a few stems is not a big deal, but I am going to go through it one more time just to pull out any remaining ones. So now that I've finished chopping my cilantro, I'm going to take it, I'm going to roll it up so that every time I cut through, I'm cutting through that much more cilantro. I'm going to cut one way. I'm going to bring it together. I'm going to cut it the other way. And I'll just go through one more time to try and get it really fine. I have a half a cup measure. I'm going to take my half a cup of cilantro and I'm going to put it into my pico de gallo. All right, all our produce has been cut up. It's put into our pico de gallo. It's just ready for some seasoning. We're going to start by adding salt and pepper. You can always add more spices, but you can't remove them. So I'm going to start with half a teaspoon of salt. I'm going to crack some black pepper. And finally, I have some cumin. I'm going to go with around half a teaspoon of cumin. It's to taste, so I can always adjust and add more after. I'm now going to stir my pico de gallo and mix everything in together. And there it is. It's ready to be served for a snack or even for lunch if you're so inclined. We hope you enjoy it as much as we do.